You know, usually when we talk about doing chores, there's this underlying expectation of manual labor. Like, take doing the dishes right.
Oh, yeah, the worst one.
Right. You stand at the sink, you scrub the plates, you put them away. It's manual, it's repetitive. And the very second you finish and turn off the faucet, somebody drops a dirty coffee mug right in the sink, and the whole cycle just starts all over again.
Yeah, it's relentless. I mean, you never actually conquer the dishes.
Mm.
You just pause them for a bit.
Exactly. But then, you step into the world of social media, specifically X, and suddenly we're all just standing at that digital sink, scrubbing away, thinking that's just, well, how the job has to be done. We treat maintaining a presence on X like this daily, never-ending manual chore.
When really we should be building a dishwasher,
Right.
like a fully automated, well-oiled machine that just runs quietly in the background while we focus on, cooking the actual meal.
Welcome to today's deep dive. Today, our mission is to really deconstruct exactly how businesses and brands are building those digital dishwashers.
Yeah, we're tearing apart the mechanics of how professionals use tweet scheduling systems.
Specifically, focusing on the workflows inside a platform called Circleboom Twitter
Yeah.
to basically outsmart the algorithm. Because let's be real, whether you're a solopreneur wearing 10 different hats or you're prepping for a high-stakes marketing meeting for some huge brand, the sheer speed of social media can just feel completely suffocating.
Oh, it's completely exhausting. And that overwhelm often leads to inconsistency, which on a platform like X is fatal. So our goal today is to shortcut that overwhelm. We're going to look under the hood at the automated workflows the pros use, so you don't have to literally live on your timeline just to win on it.
Okay, let's unpack this. Treating X like a manual chore versus treating it like a fully automated machine, I mean, that changes everything about how we interact with the
So it
platform.
really does.
But before we get into the actual nuts and bolts of building this automated engine, we really need to understand the harsh reality of the environment we're operating in, right? Like, why does X's unique landscape absolutely demand automation in the first place?
Right, so if we connect this to the bigger picture, falling behind on X isn't just a social media failure. It's a fundamental loss of business ground.
Wow.
Because unlike other platforms, X moves entirely in real time. I mean, if you post on video platforms, the algorithm might quietly hold your content in reserve,
Mm,
right? It tests it, it waits to serve it up to someone on a silver platter maybe 3 days or even 3 weeks later.
yeah.
X doesn't do that. If you're not posting in the very moment your audience is actively looking at their screen, you're invisible.
It makes me think of like a rushing river. If you aren't actively putting boats in the water right now, you're just standing on the bank watching the water go by.
Exactly.
Nobody's going to hike 3 miles upstream to see the boat you launched yesterday.
That is a phenomenal way to visualize it. And this is where a lot of brands get it completely wrong, actually.
Sure.
Well, they think the solution to this standing out in that rushing river is just to be wildly, unbelievably creative all the time. But if you look at the brands that are actually winning, their competitors aren't necessarily more creative than they are. They are just vastly more consistent.
I want to pause on that, actually, because what stands out to you about the idea that consistency beats creativity every time? I mean, it flies in the face of the standard content is king, make it go viral advice we hear all the time.
Yeah, totally.
But the more you think about it, the more it makes sense. Viral is basically a lottery ticket, right? Consistency is an investment strategy. If you consistently show up, you build an expectation.
Exactly. When your audience sees you posting regularly, it builds familiarity. And familiarity eventually breeds trust.
Right.
So over time, your brand becomes this reliable, stable part of the conversation rather than, a random stranger sprinting into the town square, shouting something profound once a month, and then disappearing again.
Think about a retail brand. If they systematically schedule tweets during lunch hours, say right around noon to 1 p.m., they get significantly higher click-through rates on their product links.
Oh, for sure.
Why? Because that's exactly when their target demographic, maybe an accountant named John, is taking a break, eating a turkey sandwich at his desk, and scrolling his feed.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Or think about a sauce company posting during weekday mornings. They stay in the peripheral vision of Sarah, a CTO who's just catching up on industry news during her commute or, between early Zoom meetings.
You hit the nail on the head. Neither of those scenarios requires a massive marketing budget, and they definitely don't require a team of 20 award-winning copywriters.
Right.
They just require knowing when John and Sarah are going to be looking at their phones
Yeah.
and making sure you reliably show up at that exact time.
Huh.
So visibility on X is a business problem because it directly dictates whether those decision makers even remember you exist when it finally comes time for them to make a purchase.
Okay, so if consistency is the ultimate goal, my immediate instinct, and I'm sure a lot of people listening who are stretched thin feel the exact same way, is to just blindly queue up 100 tweets, spread them out evenly across the week, maybe like one every 6 hours, and just call it a day.
Right, and that is exactly where the strategy falls apart.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because when you post determines if the algorithm even registers your existence. What's fascinating here is that timing isn't just a matter of convenience or casual visibility. It is the specific fuel that triggers the algorithmic distribution on X.
See, this is where I have to push back on all those best time to post articles we constantly see floating around online. You know the ones always post on Tuesdays between 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. to maximize reach?
Oh, I hate those.
Right. Relying on global social media averages to schedule your content is like wearing a winter coat in July just because the global average temperature of the Earth includes the Arctic. It makes no sense for your specific climate.
Right. Your followers are not a global average. They are a highly specific group of people with highly specific habits. I mean, some might be night owls, some might be in Europe while your business is based in the U.S.
Yeah.
The only way to know when your audience is actually online is to look at data built from their actual historical behavior. And Circleboom Twitter addresses this by analyzing the people who follow you and generating a dynamic weekly heat map.
So you aren't guessing anymore. You're looking at a hyper-local weather map for your specific digital neighborhood. You know exactly when your followers are liking, replying, and scrolling.
Yes. It shows you the specific days and hours that consistently produce the highest activity for your specific account.
Wow.
And the reason hitting those heat map targets is so critical comes down to the underlying mechanics of the platform. We have to talk about early engagement signal.
Let's dig into that, because early engagement signals sounds like marketing jargon,
Mhm.
but the underlying mechanism makes total sense if you look at how these platforms actually make money.
Right.
The algorithm's ultimate goal is to keep users on the app to show them more advertisements, right? So if a tweet gets immediate engagement, the algorithm recognizes it as sticky content.
That's the core of it, yeah. When you post a tweet, those first few minutes are life or death for that piece of content. If it gets likes and retweets right out of the gate, the algorithm interprets that as, this piece of media is keeping people's attention.
Okay.
And because X wants to keep people on the platform to serve them ads, it aggressively pushes that sticky tweet into more feeds. It amplifies it to trap more users in the app.
But what if it sits cold? Like if you post it at a random time and nobody interacts for the first hour?
It is dead in the water.
Really? Just dead?
Completely. The algorithm assumes it's boring and just stops showing it to people. If you take two identical tweets, word for word exactly the same, and post one at 2 a.m. when your specific audience is asleep, and the other at a peak activity time from your heat map, the difference in impressions isn't marginal. It's a massive canyon. It can be the difference between a post that goes absolutely nowhere and one that reaches far beyond your existing follower base.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting. Because now we have the rules of engagement. We know we have to be incredibly consistent. And we know exactly when to post based on our custom audience heat map to trigger those algorithmic rewards. But how do we physically feed this beast?
Right.
Like if the heat map says my audience is most active at 1:17 p.m. on a Tuesday and 8:42 p.m. on a Wednesday, how do I maintain that kind of precision without setting alarms on my phone to manually log in and type a tweet every single day?
Well, this is where we transition from understanding the theory to actually building the engine. And it starts with the technical infrastructure. So Circleboom operates via X's official enterprise APIs.
I actually want to break down what an API is because it sounds super intimidating.
Yeah, fair enough.
The best way I've heard it explained is to think of an API like a digital waiter in a restaurant. You're sitting at the table, and the kitchen is X's highly secure servers. You can't just walk into the kitchen and start making food yourself. They keep the doors locked for security.
Good analogy.
Right. So you give your order to the waiter, the API. The waiter securely takes your order to the kitchen makes it, and the waiter brings it back to you. You get exactly what you want without ever needing a key to the kitchen door.
That is a perfect analogy because historically, a lot of sketchy scheduling apps didn't use the waiter. They use screen scraping, or they literally asked for your X password to log in pretending to be you.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's terrible.
It is incredibly dangerous. Using the official enterprise API means there's no shady back alley login. It's fully compliant with X's policies, which ensures your account's safety. For a business, that's non-negotiable. You cannot risk getting your corporate account permanently banned just because you used a shortcut scheduling tool that broke the terms of service.
Makes total sense. The foundation is secure. So with the safety net in place, how do we actually scale the output? Because honestly, scheduling one tweet at a time inside an app, even a safe one, still feels like doing the dishes by hand. It's just doing them in a slightly nicer sink.
Exactly. So you scale it with bulk scheduling. For a business managing content, doing it one by one is a massive bottleneck. Instead, businesses can upload a CSV or an Excel file containing up to 1,000 tweets at once.
Now wait, I have to challenge this.
Oh.
Uploading 1,000 tweets in an Excel file sounds incredibly efficient, yes. But doesn't that risk making a brand sound like a lifeless, tone-deaf robot? Like if I schedule 3 months of content and suddenly a massive global news event happens, my account is just going to blindly keep tweeting out perky product updates while the rest of the world is dealing with a crisis?
It is a totally valid concern, and it's the classic fear of automation, but that is confusing tactical execution with strategic oversight.
Okay, how so?
Bulk scheduling doesn't mean you fire and forget, never looking at your account again. You still monitor the landscape. If a crisis hits, you simply go into the queue and pause the campaign. What bulk scheduling actually does is free up your mental bandwidth so you can monitor the landscape.
Oh, I see what you mean. Instead of stressing out at 6 p.m. every single night about what you're going to cook for dinner, you spend one Sunday afternoon doing a massive meal prep session. You chop, you cook, you portion it out. Then for the rest of the month, you just open the fridge and pull out a perfectly prepared meal.
Exactly.
And if you decide to go out to dinner one night, you just leave the meal in the fridge.
Yes, exactly. You're moving away from tedious daily manual execution and moving toward high-level strategy. Think about a marketing team launching a new product. They're juggling live event coverage, reacting to customer questions, and trying to maintain their regular weekly posts. Managing all that manually means someone is logging in and typing all day. Bulk scheduling means the baseline content planning happens in one focused session, and the execution runs entirely on its own, freeing the team up to be spontaneously creative when it actually matters.
I can see the utility there. But let's be honest about the reality of creating that much content. If I'm a solopreneur and I'm staring at an Excel spreadsheet with 1,000 blank rows, that is terrifying. Writer's block is very real, especially when you need to be consistently insightful.
Yeah, it's daunting. But the system actually accounts for the blank page anxiety. It includes an AI tweet generator built right into the planner.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so if you know you want to talk about, say, the benefits of remote work, you give the AI that topic in your preferred tone, and it will generate tweet ideas and draft the content for you. It gives you a baseline to edit and refine, rather than forcing you to pull 1,000 original thoughts out of thin air. And the assistance doesn't stop at just the text either.
Right, because text alone on a timeline can get visually exhausting. What are the visual integrations doing to help?
So the content creation tools integrate directly with platforms like Unsplash and Canva.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So if you're drafting a tweet and realize it needs a visual hook, you don't have to open a new tab. Go find a stock photo, download it, come back, and upload it. You can pull in high-quality photos or design your own graphics instantly without ever leaving the scheduling dashboard.
That streamlines things immensely. And there's a font generator too, right? I found this particularly interesting because native X doesn't really make it easy to format text. It's just a wall of uniform, plain text.
It's a small feature that yields outsized results.
Yeah.
The font generator allows you to apply bold, italics, or underlines directly to the text of your tweet before you schedule it.
That's super useful.
Right. In a feed that's usually just endless, unformatted characters, suddenly having a bolded hook or an italicized punchline makes your text pop visually. It gives the post a designed premium look that grabs the eye as someone is just, mindlessly scrolling.
So if we step back and look at the engine we've built, we've meal prepped our tweets, we used AI to conquer writer's block. The posts are styled with bold fonts and custom Canva graphics, and they're dropping at the exact minute our heat map says our specific audience is awake and engaging.
Yep.
We have built the ultimate dishwasher. But here's the depressing reality of social media. X moves so incredibly fast. Even with the absolute perfect timing, a huge portion of your audience is still going to miss it. Are we just accepting that most of our hard work is eventually going to vanish into the algorithmic void?
This raises a really important question about content economics, because the effort you put into crafting a brilliant post shouldn't just evaporate after 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And there's a systemic solution for this, which Circleboom calls the auto-retweeter. More specifically, it utilizes a repost and unrepost strategy.
Okay, let me think through how this would actually work, because unreposting sounds totally counterintuitive.
It does, yeah.
If the problem is that content has a short shelf life, you want to bring it back to the top of the feed. So, does the system literally hit retweet on your original post a few hours later to bump the timestamp for people in a different time zone? Wait, and then to keep your profile from looking like a messy, desperate wall of duplicates, it deletes the retweet later.
You figured out the exact mechanism.
Really?
Yeah. It gives the content a literal second life. It automatically reposts your own scheduled tweet after a predetermined amount of time, pushing it back into the rushing river for a new batch of users to see. Then it removes the repost, cleaning up your timeline, and it can repeat the cycle entirely.
That is incredibly clever. It solves the time zone problem without cluttering up your digital storefront.
It's widely considered a massive growth hack. By constantly, quietly reviving your top-performing posts, you're forcing the algorithm to prioritize your brand again and again without having to write new content. You're taking an individual piece of insight and turning it into a 24/7 engine for reach. It can literally quadruple your impressions and double your engagement simply by recycling the effort you already spent.
But why stop the recycling at the borders of X? Like, if I went to all the trouble of writing this brilliant insight, polishing it with AI, getting the graphics right, formatting it, I want everyone on the internet to see it, not just the people on one app.
Which brings us to the final piece of the automated machine, cross-posting. When your perfectly timed tweet goes live on X, the system can simultaneously distribute it to Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, Threads, and Bluesky automatically.
Wow.
You just select the platforms when you create the post, and the API handles the syndication everywhere at once.
All right, I have to push back here because this is where a lot of brands look completely out of touch. The idea of spray and pray social media blasting the exact same message to every platform usually backfires, doesn't it?
It can, definitely.
Because audiences on LinkedIn expect a completely different, much more professional tone than audiences on Instagram who are there for visuals and vibes. If you just copy-paste a snarky X thread onto LinkedIn, aren't you going to look completely foolish on at least half of those platforms?
That is a very fair critique of cross-posting if it's used lazily. Context collapse is real. However, you have to look at cross-posting as establishing a baseline presence, not necessarily your entire platform strategy. For announcements, high-level insights, or educational graphics, the core message translates across boundaries. Plus, the system actually recognizes the mechanical constraints of the different platforms to help bridge that gap.
Give me an example of how it bridges the gap, because Instagram, for instance, doesn't even support plain text posts. You can't just tweet a block of text to Instagram.
Exactly, and this is where the automation proves its worth. Because Instagram is purely visual, Circleboom automatically takes your text tweet and converts it into a formatted visual image, like a picture of your text, so it lands correctly and natively in the Instagram feed without you having to manually redesign it in a photo editor.
Oh. It literally turns the text into a graphic on the fly.
Yep.
I didn't realize it was doing that level of heavy lifting. I see how that maintains the native feel of the platform. You write one piece of text and the system physically transforms it to survive in a different ecosystem.
It fundamentally changes how businesses should look at their content distribution. The effort that goes into one post is no longer confined to X. Scheduling on X isn't the end of your distribution pipeline, it's just the first domino. One well-crafted post creates an immediate formatted presence across 5 or 6 different channels.
So, what does this all mean when we put the pieces together? I mean, this has been a massive shift in perspective for me. Winning on X, or really any fast-moving social platform, isn't about getting lucky, and it isn't just about shouting the loudest or posting the highest volume of random thoughts until you pass out.
Nope.
It's a highly calculated, deeply intentional system. It's about relentless consistency. It's about using precise timing dictated by your audience heat maps to trigger the algorithm. It's about scaling your effort through bulk uploads and AI tools, and then multiplying that reach by recycling posts and cross-platform distribution.
It's the definition of working smarter, not harder. It transforms social media from a manual daily anxiety into an automated content system that just hums in the background while you focus on the actual strategy of running your business.
So I want to challenge you, the listener, right now. Take a hard, honest look at your own workflow today. Are you still standing at the digital sink doing the dishes by hand? Are you logging in multiple times a day, stressing over what to say, and just hoping the algorithm notices you? Ask yourself what pieces of that process you can automate today to win back your time, because time is the one resource you cannot schedule more of.
And I'll leave you with this final thought to mull over. We've just spent this time outlining how API integrations, AI generators, and bulk scheduling tools allow a business to effortlessly maintain a perfectly timed multi-platform presence 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, without a human ever needing to actually be online.
Right.
As these highly optimized automated systems become the absolute standard for everyone, how will organic, spontaneous, human-to-human interaction on X evolve to stand out? When the entire feed is perfectly automated and polished, does the unpolished, unscheduled human moment become the ultimate premium content?
Oh, I love that perspective. When everybody has a dishwasher, maybe eating off a hand-washed plate becomes a luxury. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. We will catch you next time.